this was a game that Ned didn't see coming. We had prepared really well. We were tuned into it, and I can't imagine. I couldn't imagine that the guys that weren't able to play in this game would make that much of a factor. I just didn't feel that in our preparation. But they're a terrific team. They did everything like they do, and they played really well in all phases and kept us totally at bay. We couldn't make a first down and couldn't get off the field, and they just did like they do. And so when we have a lot of work to do, and we have a lot of catching up to do, and we got to get our guys back. The key guys that missed the game are key guys on our football team, and we weren't able to overcome that. And it seems like there was a factor in there. We were trying our ass off to get first downs and trying to get off the field. They had a bunch of third and, I don't know, maybe half dozen third and threes or less, and they converted most all of those. And it just keeps them out there and keeps all those good players having another shot at you. And we needed to play differently to have that chance. And so today. So this is, to me, this is not like the statement of whatever. This is just we got to realize what we're up against, and we got to get our guys back, and we got to play the game well, and we have to get back on track.
In that first quarter, Ashton got one carry in the first quarter. I understand that the Chiefs had a lot of plays, obviously long, prolonged drives. But when Ashton Jeanty, especially on a day where you're missing a couple of guys, when Ashton Jeanty carries the ball one time in the first quarter and 4 total in the first half.
How many plays we had in the first quarter?
No, I understand.
No, help me out on that.
10.
Seriously.
It was, yeah.
Okay, so we had the ball 10 snaps in the first quarter because we couldn't make first down, we couldn't stop them. So it's just not one thing. Like we came into this game really wanting to run the football, figuring that would be a key element of this makeup of this game, but we just couldn't get there, and we didn't change our mind about that at all. We didn't miss that thought. We just couldn't get in charge of the down and distance well enough. It wasn't what they were doing on the other side, but other than the fact that we didn't have the ball very long. So it just was it was a storm. They're doing everything they can to keep the ball moving, and we miss our opportunities. And all of a sudden, like you said, there's 10 plays in the first quarter, and we're out of luck on getting the rhythm we wanted.
You guys have scored 6 or fewer points in 2 of the last 3 games. What do you see as the biggest issue there? Is just this lack of continuity all around? Just what's been the biggest issue offensively?
Yeah, it feels like we're not finding the plays that we need, to chunk in between the routine part of the approach where we're throwing the ball underneath, we're getting some completions, we're running the football, but the chunk plays don't seem to be appearing for us, and that makes a difference, And you look at their first drive, and he scrambles around, and I think it's Kelsey he finds in front of their bench. That's a huge play. Typical play for them, but it's those kinds of plays that change the field position. They had a reverse in another sequence, that gets them 25, 30 yards. It's those chunk plays that change the rhythm of the drive, and those just have gone quiet for us. And when we play really well on the other side of the ball, like last week, it wasn't apparent, but it's still, we were not really making the big plays last week either. So it just depends on how the game goes, and. Keep picking this one apart. That's what you guys do. You gotta do it.
Is there do you feel like when the lack of big plays, is that more of a play calling thing, or just how defense are playing? You guys kind of what's?
Well, it's we would like to call some plays that would get to give those ops, but we did try some, and sometimes they're not there. We take the completions, we keep going. We're thinking to play in this game against a really good club, we were going to have to hold the football and make sure that we made first downs and moved it and used the clock. The clock went the opposite way, and much to their value and what they could do on offense.
How much would you attribute the lack of success or keeping their drives going through the penalties that the Raiders committed?
Yeah, but we didn't we have a couple third down stops when we go back out there as first down? Well, those are huge plays in the game, they're 8 points worth of the first 14 probably, and maybe they kick a field goal, and so those were huge, and also the first and penalties that we had first and 20, I don't know, 3 or 4 times it seemed like, and those are really hard to overcome against a good club, and so when you add all that up, it's a storm like we saw today, and unfortunately it's hard to take. What did happen, and what was clear to me, was the mentality of these guys trying to fight their way back into this opportunity to try to get something going. Whether it was at halftime when we talked about we need to get one score and get moving, we need to get one stop and get moving. Throughout the game, and you talk to the defensive guys, you'll hear them. They were in it the whole time. They're trying to get the ball the whole time. And wasn't there 3 or 4 opportunities where the ball was in our hands and bouncing around? I mean, those are the plays that you make in a game that gives you the chance, the momentum shift, and all that. I mean, that's nothing. We're reinventing the wheel here, but we need to capitalize on those moments, in particular against a really good club like this that plays really good football.
You're missing a couple of players coming in, but you lost some. Can you talk about the impact of those injuries, especially Max Crosby?
Yeah, well, Max has had a bit of a sore knee, and it just I don't know how it happened today in the game early, but he wasn't his full self, but he could play, and he wanted to be in there, and he wasn't. But then we had to yank him, because he just didn't look right. Somehow Adam Butler, his back just spasmed up in pregame, and he couldn't play. Jacoby, we worked him out, tried to get him out there, and he couldn't go. He wasn't quite right, and so. That's a lot of really good players, and we need everyone we can get, and so it was hard anyway. But there's a lot of other things that happened as well.
Was JPJ hurt? I just noticed he came out.
No, we took him out.
Okay.
Just give Alex a shot.
And then when at 2-5, Pete, coming into a bye week, do you switch attention more for future, maybe looking at younger players, or is your focus still totally 2025?
We've always done that. We've always given the younger guys some extra opportunities in these practices because they've missed opportunities, and so we've always done that. But we're moving ahead. This is the next game coming up is huge to us, and so we'll be preparing for that simultaneously.
What did you feel the issue, aside from the penalties on some of those third downs defensively, just overall the defensive issues and not being able to get them up?
Yeah, they executed really well with the short passing game, and were able to get catch and fall forward and make the first. And they weren't very long. We didn't have them in long situations, so that allows you to throw the quick rhythm passing stuff and get 5 and 6 yards, and it's a conversion. And they were able to do that. You saw us. We jumped up after we saw what was happening, and we made a couple adjustments, and Patrick made a couple calls. We had the balls hit our guys, and they threw right at us. We banged them off us, and those were the same concepts that were working earlier. So we found some ways to get those stopped, but we didn't capitalize on them like we needed to in a game like this.
Talk about the potency of Kansas City's offense, especially with Rashee Rice coming back.
Yeah, I mean, they have, like I said earlier, they have so many good players in that position that you can't tell which one from the other. They're all good. They're all fast. They're shifty. They're explosive. And they make things happen. So I know that they tried to get him a play in their special play down. I think it was down by the goal line or something like that. But they're all good. Every one of those guys are good. And you put Kels in the middle of all that stuff. It's a hard group to deal with.
Pete, when Geno has
Excuse me. I would think that teams facing them coming up better be ready. It's a very, very good-looking football team today.
When Geno has had his most success, it's play action, it's under center, and there's been a lot with him in the gun. Would you like to maybe see it adjust more to?
We're doing that, Hundo. That's in the game plan. We didn't get enough plays today. We're already in there. Yeah, I believe in that too. We're on the same page.
You guys good? Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Pete.